his apartment and fix it up so I can come and go.
Yeah. That was good. Just drive in and you already got it. And they'll watch it, so.
I'm waiting for probate to finish so I can dispose of his clothes. So at least it's a small apartment. It's the stuff in Colorado that I use a lot for. I don't know what's in the shipping containers or whatever. And there's a storage unit there too. I bought it. He was going to get I can't. He was only 63. I know. He had been a long distance marathon.
I asked her about it. She said she was going to check on it.
Ran a 90-mile race. And 2 months later,
No,
he was
really?
diagnosed with and he was one of those people that ate all organic. Just like, so that just gives me, I mean, not a big deal like that.
Yeah, we're gonna get one with one.
I'm gonna live. I'm just gonna live. How about yourself? Have you done anything fun?
Yeah, we're gonna go.
It may be me.
RV trips.
I said I think it was me with the feedback.
Oh, I love
There's an RV park outside of Huntsville called Kathleen off the lake that you can find. And we're gonna meet some friends up there. Cause we scoped it out one time when we went last year.
Yeah, it's really pretty. I wanna get close to the water.
Should be
We'll
cool.
see.
There's good fishing there, I heard. In Hot Springs.
In the lake.
Tell you where some good fishing is. It's just kind of hard to get to. In that reservoir up the road from me. I used to back my pickup up to that chain link fence. At least they know the structure. I tied the bottom together, put the ladder over on the inside, and they got the bucket and step on into that. You don't think that you chunk where that water's coming from? Tornado, and I just hear it. Standing where I could see the I knew he had to go in and get out of
Can you give us a mic check, Simeon? Can we hear you? It seems quiet, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't hear anything. Come through the television.
Yeah. There's nothing now. There you go. That's better. It'll be quiet in here, though. Yeah, I turned it up. He's up good. Time is 6:18. If you're going to speak, please see the secretary and sign up.
Try not to spill more water this time.
Nothing on the
He gave me the key to the truck so I could just drive it. He said, just don't go there. On the weekend.
tell nobody.
I'm doing it, so I went for. caretaker right there.
She's always been kind of rough, to be honest with you. I know, but she's had more broken bones than me and 2 kids.
Hi, Teresa.
I watched them build. I could ride him. For walking me up there.
Yeah, we hooked that up, but I took that. I mean, I know how to work it if you go all the way to 3 minutes, but if they stop before the 3 minutes, I don't know how to reset it. And I'm sure there's instructions. But, yeah, probably, but, so can you still do the calling?
I can if you want, no problem.
That's your voice.
Oh, yeah.
Should be ready to start.
You just hit the right button.
That's what I've seen too. That's why I saw scribbles too. I went in and just took a picture of
Howdy, howdy.
You're sitting at the head,
I'm running things.
He's the leader tonight.
leader of the free world of poetry.
On your resume.
like that.
I don't know what that was.
Well, it looks like Simeon's making enough money to know how to stay at a Roach Motel. He said, stay.
Hotel 6. They keep the rates up, I guess. They ain't keeping them down. The insurance, last few years, it just goes up huge chunks and they don't even explain it. That's just what
So, do you vote tonight?
Yeah. But the attorney says I shouldn't make motions or seconds. That would be the thing.
But you do get a full vote.
I get a vote.
That's the top right now.
Yeah, I can vote, but he says it's better if you don't make the motion or second. So,
I don't know if we'll try, to be honest. Yeah, that's October was just kind of. Yeah.
Is there another packet of
Yeah, a long couple of weeks.
Well, you got all the fertilizer out.
Yep.
Now you need
Now I
to
gotta
rain
deal
this
with,
weekend.
I gotta deal with pigs. Pigs are just tearing me up every night. They're coming out and tearing stuff up. I'm too lazy to sit out there.
I know a young man with a infrared scope.
That's what somebody needs to.
Jason
I wish
said he'd
somebody.
do it.
I got 5 guys with all thermals and everything.
I got a bunch of them. They're just tearing me up.
It's 6:25. If you'd like to speak, please see the secretary and sign up.
They'll do it. They love it.
Mike, what do you have?
Pigs.
Oh, my son would love
Everybody wants to hunt them, but I don't want any horses shot. I don't want any neighbors shot.
Oh yeah, no, they don't do that.
I don't want somebody getting excited and shooting what makes them too.
Well, as long as they're not hiding out in cedar trees, you can see them with the thermal.
No, they're coming out in the pasture. They're down. I've got a creek goes across my place, and I'm pretty sure they're laying in the creek during the day. If somebody had dogs, they could probably find them. Pigs, wild hogs. They love that. You know, the prettier your pastures are, the more they want to eat them.
They went out 3 weeks ago. Guy's property is destroying their property. They shot 350 of them.
I don't think I've got that much.
Video ready showing.
So what do you do with them?
Well, all the smaller ones they keep. All the larger ones they haul them off down in the bottom. But the smaller ones they hate. Don't give them the families that don't have food. Just load them on trailer. There you go.
Good meat. I've butchered them before. They taste good. Take them down there to Gorman's. I'll make you some summer sausage and stuff out of it.
Real quick.
Yeah, it's good. We're going the right direction, Ed. It's going down.
Yeah. Where that little teeny tiny pamphlet is on that conference.
Yeah, but other,
If you were Chinese, it'd make sense.
Right. Okay, so this is that will cost.
We're either gonna get 3 minutes or 3 hours. I don't know.
yeah, that's 3 hours, 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Yeah, well, they'll be happy.
We may have to go back to the old
For now.
using the phone thing.
I can. I mean, we just said,
Oh, you can run it. I mean, just yeah.
I don't mind.
Well, Robin said,
I do. I didn't like doing it because I have a hard time listening and watching what I'm doing.
Well, so if I set it as not a stopwatch, but as a timer, it'll be.
Yeah. And all I was doing, it was letting them say who they. I didn't start the time until they start talking.
People are still used to that, but
Yeah, but I want to hear what they have to say, not who they are. I mean, I do, but
I agree.
yeah.
I agree.
TV.
Oh, I know it. It's odd hearing yourself.
About 600.
About, yeah.
Yeah, I never liked hearing myself
I don't sound like me to me.
I had, they told me that.
But all those
Check it, you know,
air
6
ratchets
months to a
and
year, whatever.
die grinders over the years might have changed what you hear.
Oh, race cars have
Race cars.
changed what I hear.
On one eye, he said the other eye is fine for now, but he said, you should come back in a year.
Yeah, that's what I need to do because they,
But he's not. He's
Yeah.
sitting there, things.
Oh, really?
He says, okay, Blake, Blake,
oh, that's it. Yeah, because he said it was some kind of dump, and I'm like, why did you take it out during the surgery?
no, it happens after the surgery.
Okay.
And he said, and mine was in my right eye, and I thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah, they, when I did my last.
Time is 6:29. If you want to speak, please sign up with the secretary.
Yeah, well, that's good to know.
There's no anesthesia or anything.
Oh, because I figured I was putting you back out.
They don't even feel it. They don't even.
When you hear the alarm go off, I'm gonna stop. You can stop them from talking. Keep talking.
Oh, I think they'll stop themselves. Or if they could finish.
Just the timer.
Yeah, but
You're making.
yeah. But
No one knows.
What about food? Anything like that before? Nuts, there's some nuts, anything after
Hey, Noah. How you doing? Yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, okay.
So anyway,
Like, that's not fair. That's not easy.
Time is 6:30. We need to begin our meeting now. Secretary's going to do roll call.
turn the TV down.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan Blake,
Here.
Councilmember Tom Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Mike Jaffe,
Here.
Councilmember Simeon White, Councilmember Terry Fowler,
Here.
and Mayor Sinkovich, who is not here.
Quorum is confirmed. Now, Pastor Paul Jacobs is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Father, I'm grateful that we live in a nation where we have freedom and we have liberty and we also have responsibility. And so as these folks have met tonight to discuss the items pertaining to the community, Lord, I thank you that we do have the freedom to speak our minds. I'm thankful, Lord, that we have the liberty to live our lives, and I'm very thankful, Lord, that we have all that we need to serve you. So thank you for all that you do for us, and I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
To preserve the order and decorum of the meeting of the town council, any person who makes profane, slanderous, or threatening remarks or becomes disruptive during the meeting will be asked to leave council chambers. Texas Penal Code 3313-4205. Items of community interest. Reminder, we are accepting both donations and applications for the Poetry Annual Agricultural Scholarship due May 15th. Thanks to those who participated in the spring cleanup at Town Hall parking lot. We were rained out on Friday, but had a fair showing on Saturday. Thanks to Secretary Teresa Scholander for ditch cleanup. Thanks to CM Anderson, CM Jaffe, Tracy Hibbs, Doug Kendrick, and Mayor Sinkovich for manning the dumpster. Thanks to CM Anderson for picking up the banners, signs, and spending 2 hours with the mayor putting up Meet the Candidate banners for the town-sponsored event at Poetry Baptist Church. Thanks to CM Anderson also for volunteering to take them down. Thanks to Poetry Baptist Church and Pastor Paul Jacobs for hosting and moderating the Meet the Candidates events on April 3rd, 2025. Thanks to the volunteer road crew on March 19th on County Road 323, CM Mike Jaffe, Kevin Sinkovich, Mayor Sinkovich, Trevor Kroger, Sherry Vinson, Heather Lutz, and Ryan Lutz. Thanks to volunteer road crew on Wednesday, April 9th on County Road 323 and County Road 247. Councilman Mike Jaffe, Kevin Sinkovich, Josh Sinkovich, and Mayor Tara Sinkovich. Thanks to Ken Phillips, Kevin Sinkovich, Mayor Sinkovich, Trevor Kroger, Mike Griffin, Heather Lutz, and Tammy Lutz for volunteering to put out 5 tons of asphalt on County Road 247 on April 10th. Councilman Anderson attended the most recent hearing for the Jesus Cruz Moje, who was arrested for indiscriminate shooting his firearm on County Road 2440 in July of 2024 and January 2025, and will report update. The plea will be set on April 24th at 9 a.m. at Hunt County Court 354 with Judge Kelly Aiken.
And I guess I'd say, if anybody speaks Spanish, it would be worth it, because part of the meeting's in Spanish, but they understood no English. And so I was able to understand what Judge Aiken said, but not everything that was said, even though it was on a speaker between Cruz Monte and his lawyer. the one thing I did understand is that the judge was giving a paper which apparently, the way I understood it, was a plea agreement. And so it was taken under consideration, and the way Judge Aiken explained it that I understood is that the 24th, which is next Wednesday, Cruz Monte, as well as others who had plea agreements in the same meeting, they will have, I guess, it ruled, or the judge will rule or give a final sentencing. Now, Judge Aiken obviously is easy to understand in English, but Monte, when he speaks to his lawyer, I could only understand part of it. So if anybody, and it, by the way, it's open to the public. Everything is, and if you want to look it up on the Hunt County court records, his case number is 35344 CR, Jesus Cruz Monte, and it's Hunt County Jail, excuse me, as well as the docket. And anyway, it was, best I could tell is that they have an agreement, and hopefully they'll get it resolved, and apparently he's going to plead guilty to something or other, but we'll find out on the 24th.
Jonathan, while we're on this and expounding a little bit, I'd like to also recognize Poetry, our Christian school, for their supporting us in the Meet the Candidate the week before. So
I agree. Thanks to Dr. Horan.
absolutely appreciate her and the helpers that were with her.
Before we get into general comments here, just a note from the mayor. I have to be away on important town matters which came up suddenly. I can report on the matters at next month's meetings. And we have signed up to speak. Amy Fowler. Pass. Okay. Scott Lehue.
Here's your time back.
Thank you. Good evening, Scott Lehue, County Road 2426. On two different occasions recently, I've heard with my own ears the phrase, "I have surveyed the citizens." It was the mayor who said that, and the statement was made in the context of driving policy and bringing items before council, with the implication being that a survey was conducted that conveys a mandate from the people. I've done an informal poll of some citizens, some in this room, some outside of this room who aren't here, and not one of them has ever received a survey or a poll or a questionnaire or anything of that nature from the town. So if a survey was in fact done, why did it not go out to all citizens? And even with that fatal flaw, where are the results? Shouldn't those be shared with council at the very least? For transparency's sake, I would say they should even be on the website. What I suspect is that there was no survey done, and that was an inflated statement. You know, speaking to some citizens is not surveying the citizens. I mean, speaking to some citizens is great. That's what we would think the mayor and everybody at this table should do. That's probably the most important part of y'all's job. But to blow that up into, I have surveyed the citizens, and then use that to drive policy, I think that's a misstatement. I think that's an inflation of the facts, and I think it was done to, once again, drive policy and bring things before you guys on the council that may or may not be popular. I would also like to add in a text that has been circulated this week, point number 2, text that's been circulated this week from the mayor to a citizen. Something I focused in on is the mayor makes the statement in the text that she represents change, yet her website is Keep Poetry Poetry. I don't understand how those two statements can be reconciled. That does not seem to work. So I just would like to point out that's an inconsistency that, at least speaking for myself, I do not understand. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Debbie Emard.
Can you hear me okay? Debbie Emmerd, 9499 County Road 2432. I want to speak tonight about the current zoning and its stopping development coming into Poetry. But first, would like to clear up any confusion about myself. I received a text from Mayor Tara stating, quote, "I'm not sure why you jumped to the other side of things," end of quote. I have always been very supportive of us becoming a town. I have put in many volunteer hours over the last 5 years, and I still support every effort of being a small rural town and community, pulling together to help one another. I'm not on some other side, whatever that means. I think everyone here wants to keep our town a small rural town as long as possible. In this text that I received, it states that the current zoning has protected our area from developments, specifically 2 businesses and 3 developments. This was also stated at one of the Meet the Candidate nights. I asked for info on what developments have been stopped by our current zoning, and as a citizen supporting not wanting developments to come in, I feel that would be very helpful to know for a fact that zoning stopped someone. I was told that this information cannot be shared in respect of their privacy in real estate laws. I would like to hear from the town council as a team on what developments and businesses have currently been stopped by this current zoning and how it stopped them. It would be good information for all of us to know to fight off future developers. We receive offers on our own property, on our land. We only have 12 acres, but we still receive offers quite often. We either throw them in the trash, tell the people no, but it's not because of zoning that stops them. It's just we don't want to sell out. Again, I would like to hear from the town council on this issue. Thank you very much for this time. And again, I'm a team player and not on some other side.
Thank you. Shelley Smith.
Tom Anderson's crusade about petroleum storage tanks piqued my interest in public safety and got me to wondering what other gas tanks could be around here. Did you know that there are tanks located at the old gas station at 19012 FM 986, very close to a creek bed, a church, and a school? Granted, the pumps were removed years ago, but the tanks are still there. So I did a little TCEQ research on those and found out that there were 3 notice of violations filed by TCEQ 2 years ago. 1 for failure to conduct the corrosion protection test, which is supposed to be done every 3 years. 1 for not being registered and updated and/or amended. And 1 for failure to have at least once, and I think that was a typo, it should have said at least 1 Class AB operator for each use facility. I took the liberty of filing a PIR with TCEQ and asked what is the current status on these tanks and were the violations remedied. I will let you know when they respond. They have until next Friday. These tanks are listed on TCEQ as registered to Jeannie Simpson, but seeing as how she sold the property and passed away, I'm really surprised that the current owner has not updated the information. My second point. Of the 40-plus people who have been granted a petition for release, over 100 properties from the ETJ, did that make sense? 40 people released over 100 properties from the ETJ. I do not recall any notes regarding who delivered these documents to the town. Why would we start doing that now? Perhaps political retribution? Surely our town is better than that. Oh, and of the 40-plus people, the land mass that has been removed from the ETJ of Poetry is a little more than 3,246.65 acres, which is greater than the total size of the town of Poetry's 4 square miles. In fact, it comes in at just over 5 square miles removed. You should be asking yourselves, why is it worth it to the residents to go to the expense and the effort to remove their land from the Poetry ETJ? Thank you for your time.
Patrick Smith? Laura Leahy?
Good evening. Laura Lehue, 2426. By the way, I happily voted for incorporation, so it seems like that's become some sort of litmus test for whose side you're on or whatever, but I voted for it. So it's my understanding that the mayor sets and writes the agenda for the town meetings. And in section F, items of community interest, it seems odd to me that 3 printed lines on the agenda are spent to thank a councilman and herself for putting up and taking down signs around town. She also spent 2 printed lines to correctly and properly thank Poetry Baptist Church and Pastor Jacobs for hosting the second Meet the Candidates event. But curiously, not one single word in that entire section was written to appropriately thank Dr. Horan and PCCS for hosting the first candidates night that the town requested be held. Given the public debacle that happened with planning the original Meet the Candidate night, it really says a lot to us about how this administration has decided to treat some of us in the community. It seems like they should have gone out of their way to mend fences with the school and Dr. Horan, since they are such a big part of this community. To us out here, it's basically making it very clear who is in your club and who is not, who you choose to properly thank and who you don't. I hear a lot of talk these days and see a lot of texts and emails, but words that are spoken with insincerity, words spoken for convenience, and words spoken with ulterior motives are completely hollow. Actions are what matters, and these actions speak volumes. Thank you, Councilman Jaffe, for recognizing the school and thanking them. I appreciate that. It's also very telling and observed by other citizens that on this agenda prepared by the mayor, she always refers to everyone by their title. Councilman Anderson, Mayor Pro Tem Blake, and herself as mayor. Even town secretaries are referred to by their titles. But in this agenda, she did not refer to Councilman Fowler as Councilman Fowler. She referred to him as Terry. It's very dismissive. I'm sure if you asked about it, the explanation would be, oh, that was just an accident. Just like whatever the excuse was for not thanking Dr. Horan. But it seems very strange that these types of errors are always directed at people that voice issues with this administration. If everyone in this town was truly honest with themselves, they can only come to one single unfortunate conclusion. The division, hostility, and the us versus them attitude toward us citizens originates from one source. Think about it.
Thank y'all. We'll go on to the Marchian.
Is my name not on that general comment section?
I was just looking, I don't see where that is.
You received the emails too.
Yes.
What do you
Oh, I know what you're talking about now, sorry.
I requested to be on general
You
comments.
did, yeah.
And Tara denied me until I pushed the issue, and it should have been on there.
Right, I don't know why it's not on there,
You
but,
mean like Simeon wanted to do?
but she did say she was gonna put it on there.
No.
Our attorney said we could. He didn't recommend it, but he said we could.
Did,
He sat right there and said,
I know, he says it was inappropriate, but you couldn't take it, that's your right to do.
my First Amendment right.
I think, would you have had to fill out a card like everybody else did? I think maybe that's how you,
I emailed just like some people do.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine too, yeah, because we don't put that on the agenda, we just let them speak. So,
What's the question, can you have your time?
I'm asking if I can speak.
Oh, boy, give me a tough one here.
First night on the job?
Yeah,
Well, it's legal. It may be a bad choice, but that's Terry's decision, right? Simeon made the choice not to, but he had the option.
do we have the emails?
Yeah, I have the emails, but, I mean, if he's gonna speak, it would just kind of be like, you know, someone in the audience speak, but like he said, he
Yeah.
could fill out a card because he emailed it. And yes, I have the emails.
Okay. So technically, you're signed up for it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be put on the agenda, just like
So,
no one else's is.
You got 3 minutes to talk.
Okay, I'm gonna pass.
okay,
Oh, you are?
okay. Oh, man.
Okay.
You're making it hard on me.
I wasn't making that hard on you.
Well-
Someone else made that hard on you.
Well, anyway,
I do have something to say, but in light of where we are tonight, I'm gonna pass.
oh, okay. All right, on the March end 2025, including the uncleared checks report, we have deposits of $13,609.20, checks paid of $13,904.20, debits of $3,991.59. Oh, sorry, beginning balance was $111,865.11. Ending balance was $107,578.52. And then there's the list of the uncleared checks.
Do you, and this may not be a fair question for you, Jonathan, but maybe somebody else remembers, how long are we gonna let those checks float? I mean, do we have a drop
There
dead
was a
date?
time frame.
It's Teresa has it on file when the comptroller told her that she has to
Okay.
combine all that and send it to the comptroller.
Yeah, I mean, at some point.
I asked about that. A citizen asked me about it.
They've told us before.
Okay, yeah,
The outstanding FEC checks is July 1st.
July 1st, thank you.
Thank you.
It was a 3-year thing
Mhm.
on the franchise fees. The other ones,
That should be all 3 years.
there's not a date, so we really don't know how, well, the PIR reimbursements, so that's something I guess you would have to check on.
I'd have to get Teresa to check on that, yeah.
Okay.
This is probably gonna be a tough question for everybody too, and Teresa's not here. Did y'all notice the payrolls and the salaries? The
Well-
checks paid versus other debits? They're
I
quite
haven't paid
large this
attention
time.
to it, but remember, we have to,
They have to be open because of the
the
election.
election.
So they figured out how to
Okay.
cover those hours and run more hours, but when the election's over, they're gonna cut back on
And I understand that. So what is the hourly rate? Well,
We have to be
I think
open,
it's been recorded. What is the hourly rate? Let's figure the hours on 5,040.
it's 20.
It's $20. And how long is this time frame? Well, there's two parts to this question. First, let's answer number two. Then we have checks paid, there's Gusto, and then we have ACHs or other debits, Gusto. So what is the difference between those?
Well, if I'm looking at the same place, oh, you're looking at the top one? Under checks paid, sorry,
Checks
I was on
paid,
the
yeah, we
bottom
have
one.
3 check numbers.
We have salaries, we have PR taxes,
That payroll taxes, that's
Right.
understandable. And then we have processing fees, and that's
Right.
understandable. And then we also have payroll, in other debits and ACHs, we have payroll salaries, taxes, and processing fees again.
Same dates.
that I don't know.
Yeah, that's gonna be a Teresa thing.
That would be
Okay.
Teresa.
And that's fair enough, but I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So the $5,040, that's gonna be take home. We won't even add the taxes into that, but that equates 252 hours by 2 employees.
That
Just in
5,000 does not seem like the right number.
Okay.
The
So-
2,000 down there seems like the right number, but not there at the top. So I don't know if that's a running total, which I wouldn't think it would be.
Yeah, and the way I'm reading this, check number 1649 was written to Gusto. Do y'all receive y'all's checks from
Yeah, we
them?
received
Okay.
direct deposit, yeah.
So we would write one check, and then both of those, that company then
Yes.
pays every employee?
Yes.
Just 2 of y'all? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll email, obviously we can't all be in the email, but maybe Teresa can reply to us all.
Yeah.
On what that is.
Yeah,
She would definitely have the answer. Yeah, because the second number, the other payments and ACHs, that 2,091, that makes sense.
That's closer to what I would expect.
Yeah.
It's been 1,700, 1,300, somewhere in there, so.
Yeah.
It's closer to what I expect, but that's a lot of money for salaries and payroll taxes.
Yeah, the one at the top, the 1649,
I could not tell you what that was unless it was an accumulative
Okay,
payment,
I'll-
but Teresa would be the best one to answer that.
okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
Anything else? March sales and use report. March, we had 877805. We have the road fund balance is 49,553.22. General fund balance is 58,025.30 for a total bank balance of 107,578.52. Any questions?
Which one are you going over?
The Sales
March.
and use.
Sales and use, okay.
This one?
Oh, mine didn't print that side over there.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, here, you can use mine, hand it mine.
Oh, it did, I'm sorry. It's in the back page.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions?
No, sir.
Nope. Okay, we're on the second quarter budget versus actual. And the biggest thing we need to look at tonight, unless you have questions, maybe you need to ask your questions first, because then I'm going to address the legal lawsuit fees and the fact that we're over budget. In case you, anything else on these you want to discuss.
No, not for me. I mean, I see we're over on quite a few things, but I think we're okay.
Yeah. Well, we've spent more than we've allocated for that, and my suggestion would be that we move some money from the rainy day fund into that part of the account. We have 5 more months to the new budget, and I'm sure we're going to have more legal fees and need to pay them.
Primarily, according to Mr. Berman, it would be the oral arguments, if there are oral arguments, but it's not likely. I mean, one outcome could be that it would be, they'd send it back to trial. That would be very expensive, but it would, Mr. Berman said it would probably be in the fall if that occurred, which would be in the new budget.
Yeah.
So between now and the fall, primary legal fees, I believe Mr. Berman indicated it's gonna be oral arguments if there's an oral argument.
If there are oral arguments.
That depends on the Fifth Circuit of the court, is what they ask for oral arguments.
Yeah.
They can rule without oral arguments, apparently.
Yeah.
But they can also rule that they want oral arguments, or apparently they can also say, no, send it back to the court because of an error. But we don't know until they make the ruling. But the primary expense, at least now, would be if there's oral arguments.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking it's 5 months, $1,000 a month, that we move $5,000 over there, but.
Well, if my math's right, we got $8,659 left between legal fees and lawsuit. Can we just move them between those two accounts? Or do we have to bring it out of rainy day fund? Because on legal fees, we're at 1.5% of our budget.
Yes.
On lawsuit fees, we're at 143.
43, yeah.
But they're both, I mean.
Well, it looks to me like that category was created just to track the stuff.
I thought so too.
Associated with the lawsuits.
Yeah. So if it's
legal,
better-
to me, I'd rather pull it out of legal, the other half, than to pull it out of rainy day. I mean,
I would too.
Well, and we're paying the legal fees, we're not getting two separate.
Bills, they all came in the same bill.
They're all coming, yeah, so the legal fees are going into the same fees as the lawsuit fees.
So we're negative, I say negative, we're $2,172 over on that line item of legal lawsuit fees.
Lawsuit, yes.
So it takes us 2172 just to break back to even, and then I'm okay with moving 5,000 if that's what we need to do. I'm not, I don't do pay, or.
well, I would take it out of legal first.
I would too.
I'd drain that bucket first, and
Okay,
if
well
we
then,
replenish legal, then we can.
somebody-
So, but is it 5,000 above what we're, the 2172 we're below, so we make it 7172, and that gives us another $5,000 budget,
That, yeah.
bumper? So we don't have to vote on it again next month and again next month?
Well, to me, the bigger problem is, and we talked about this at the beginning of this journey, is like, what is this gonna cost us? And I think David was convinced it was gonna be $4,000 or $5,000, and that was the end of it. And I threw out $100,000 just because I don't, $100,000 isn't a lot of money in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody go for that, but I'm not even sure this is gonna be the end. At some point, our rainy day is gonna be, depleted, and so, I don't know, I'm just concerned from an overall perspective, and I know it's difficult to predict these kinds of things, like predicting the weather, but, to me, I would predict the larger bucket and then get some money back.
Well, and I guess the other one is element of time. If Mr. Berman is here next week, next month rather, that gives us a month to see, did we get a ruling from the appeals court or not? And depending on what the ruling is, that would affect how much more money we need. So really, it's gonna come down to when we get a ruling, that then Mr. Berman will be able to tell us what we need. So, I mean, basically, I'm fine taking it out of the legal fees as well. And then eventually, we're gonna have to balance up, but I don't think we can balance until we get a ruling from the court, the appeals court.
Okay, so what we're currently over budgeting on that's 2172.25. If we're looking at our agenda, we're not talking about it, but it says 3440 goes to the lawsuit. That makes us have to put $5,612.25 in there just to be a zero balance on lawsuit fees. So if we're wanting to move money, we need to exceed that because we know we got 3440 coming out.
Yep.
How much you want to round it up to 6,000, or you want more than that?
I mean, to Tom's point, we don't know of what's next, so
We can do this more than once, so.
Yeah.
we can.
Well, yeah, I think we will do it more than once we get the ruling, and then Mr. Berman can tell us where we stand.
Yeah, I make a motion, we move 6,000 from 5,800 legal fees into 5,850 lawsuit
I
fees.
second it.
Can you tell me those numbers again?
Well, it's 5,800 is legal fees, we're gonna move 6,000 from there
Okay.
to
Well-
5,850.
I may have messed this up because I wanted to talk about it here, but it's really
Well, we can still discuss it. I mean,
agenda item 3. So is that where we do the?
Yeah, you could just move it down to
Yeah, 'cause
the
this is
agenda.
Yeah, I
Is
don't
where we
think-
pay the legal bill? Is that where we need to do that motion, or
Good question.
do we just move it here?
Okay, well, I withdraw my motion.
I think you can move it, like, you typically when we do the, like the minutes and we move them, we just move them to the top, but I think you can move them to whatever section you want to move them
So,
to.
yeah, then let's just move to item 3,
Yeah,
and then we resolve them both at that point.
Okay. I don't want some technicality messing us up.
That's fine. So I withdrew my motion.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to move number 1 in the report, C, to the regular agenda.
So that will be A on the regular agenda.
You gotta have a second and vote.
Second.
All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. Sorry to mess y'all up.
That's all right.
That's good.
We have the secretary's memo now, which will be read by the
the
secretary.
secretary? Okay. Do I have, is my thingy on? I can't-
You're on.
I am on, okay. Let's see, the election period has begun, as we all know, and will continue through June 12th. During these dates, the Town of Poetry offices will be open Monday 1 to 7 and Thursday 1 to 7, and the rest of the week will be 12 to 3. Early voting begins next week on April 22nd through Tuesday, April 29th. The last day to vote is Saturday, May 3rd, but there will be no voting between the 29th and the 3rd, just so everybody knows. Early voting ends then, and then the election is May 3rd. I'm going to skip the next one. The spring cleanup, even though the rain tried to dampen our spirits, the rain did cease, and a spring cleanup day was successful, thanks to all who pitched in to help beautify our community. 2 dumpsters were generously donated by Blackjack Disposal. Many thanks to all who assisted the cleanup effort. We are doing, I think we announced that last time, that the agricultural scholarship season is here. So far, we've received donations totaling $1,000, so that's great. Applicants, I have it up on the website, but applicants need to file by May 15th. And there's just one other item that I don't know that it pertains to. I received a letter last week from someone who did not sign it. So if that person is here, or if that person is listening live stream, I would love for them to get in contact with me, and then I can explain their questions to them. And I would not tell anybody, so it would be anonymous. So That was all I wanted to say.
So, and since we put this on the town letterhead, I mean, the meet and greet, is that a town?
No, that's why I didn't read it.
Oh, so it really shouldn't be on here.
Right.
Okay.
It could have been in the community interest section,
Right.
but as it was not, we can't change the agenda, so,
Because I was gonna say, I don't remember us organizing a
no,
meet and greet.
no, and that's why I skipped over it.
Okay, got it. Thank
I
you.
didn't write the minutes, or the memo, just, it was, Teresa wrote it, so. I just read them. Okay.
All right, we're going to discuss agenda item A, which is,
Consent agenda?
hmm?
You want to do the consent?
Oh,
agenda?
golly, yes. Sorry. We want to approve the minutes from March 20th, 25 meeting.
I had no comments, so I'd make a motion to accept it.
There you go.
Got a motion from Councilman Anderson and a second from Councilman White. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, the next one is approve the newspaper invoice for posting all voting locations in Kaufman and Hunt County. There was a deposit paid with the credit card for $500, and the remaining balance due is $792, not the $798, but we have to vote on that because the total invoice is $1,292. We have to vote to pay the balance.
And this is a required legal notice, I
Yes.
guess?
Yeah.
So the 500's already been paid?
Yeah, they do that as a
500 in addition to this number, not
Yeah,
from
yes.
this number.
Do you know if we can set up an account with them in the future?
They have our credit card on file,
Okay.
but
I didn't know if they did a net 30 pay or if they
that,
wanted their money
no,
upfront.
they just run the credit card. I mean, I
Okay.
can find that out, but, you know, we can't do this without council
Understand.
approval.
Yep.
And just a heads up, it's a lot cheaper than it was a couple days ago because they invoiced us twice.
Oh.
And we called them and I'm like, how much are your full pages? Because this is coming up to like $5,000. And she's like, let me check into that. So came back and so this is what the remaining is. It was not 2,000 as they were explaining to us. So
I'll move to approve the remaining $792 balance.
Second.
got a motion by Councilman Fowler and a second by Councilman Anderson. All those in favor of? And that's unanimous. Okay, now that I'm not ahead of myself. Agenda item A, and this is where we were talking about moving monies between the two legal funds. You want to make your motion now?
Move the
Wait a minute.
6,000.
Where'd we come up with A? I thought we were just gonna do it under 3.
No, he moved it to A.
I moved it to the regular agenda. He labeled it A.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we move $6,000 from budget category 5800, was it 5800?
5,800 to
5800 to category 5850
Yes.
lawsuit, to replenish the lawsuit balance.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Jaffe and a second by Councilman Anderson. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, we're on agenda item 1. Discuss the update on the prospective Bishop Field Airfield LLC MUD and relevant legislation. Councilman Anderson's going to cover this.
Okay, I guess first, the mayor asked me, there was a letter from Billings, Mayor Billings of Faith, and there was a couple of points in it that he sent it, and one is it said, and the mayor asked me to read it, it's in Faith, we have 5 MUDs, all but one levy a tax rate nearly 3 times higher than the city's own 25 cents per $1,000 valuation. MUD taxes are the second largest portion of our residents' property tax bills, behind only school taxes. And he's writing this in regards to legislation being proposed. And he says that's a serious burden, especially for seniors. He said House Bill 2561 takes a thoughtful step forward, promoting transparency and local accountability, especially when it comes to how MUD property tax decisions are made. And,
Was it in our packet, or you just happened to
no,
have it?
she gave it to me.
No, it was in our
It
packet.
was in our packet.
Was it?
Was it? Okay. So anyway, those were the key points, I thought. The other one is I'd point out that on some activities on the Bishop Field, and one is that we have information from both EPA and TCEQ about the tanks being on site, or tank, they both say one tank, although we do have information from a pilot who was there that there's two. But in any case, that the tank is there, there's no record of it ever being taken out, which by law has to be done in a certain way, and it has to be taken out in a certain way, and there's no record of that. When there was an investigation by TCEQ in January of this year, and they found the vent lines for two tanks that were buried, and they do have records of it, but they don't have records, TCEQ doesn't have records of them taken out, but the owner would not allow TCEQ to either dig or to determine if the tanks are there, or to use any kind of magnetic instrument to determine if there was any kind of steel below there. Apparently there's steel, so the TCEQ was left saying, well, we can't, it's unconclusive because they couldn't find the tanks because they're buried. And then secondly, that the owner would not allow them to go underneath to look underneath with some kind of ground penetrating radar or any kind of magnetic type of instrumentation. So it was inconclusive, although in their letter, they do say, TCEQ says in their letter, that they did have records that the tank's in place. Another thing that came up is there's a question about the type of soil, and so I found, because what we understood was that Sandy Loam went into the Ag Extension office in Greenville, and they have a book on the soil surveys of Hunt County, and that area, which is just south of Renfro Creek, is all Sandy Loam, the whole thing. What it doesn't show is how deep the Sandy Loam goes. But it's two types of Sandy Loam in that area where Bishop Field is, and the areas where there's clay are in other areas of Hunt County, of course, and there's like 10 grades of types of soil, and several of them, or a lot of them actually, are Sandy Loam. Two of the Sandy Loams are where Bishop Field is, but we don't know how deep. And we won't know until when they do the tanks, whether the tanks are there or not, they still have to do drilling, the owner does, to determine if there's any leaks. That's by law in the Texas Administrative Code, and when they do that, presumably that would help determine the depth of the Sandy Loam. But as now, because nobody can do digging or any testing, we don't know how deep it is. We do know on the surface, according to the Ag Extension records, which are public information, by the way, that that is Sandy Loam throughout that area. Anyway, if anybody has any questions about that, well, I can give the public record, because that's all I have is public record.
So is what you just said, that they have to do this, they have to do that, is that sort of theoretical, or have they been notified that they've got to do that for compliance? I mean,
Well, the notification would have to come through TCEQ, and I don't know that it has now, because, I mean, we don't have
I mean, if
all the
nobody
records.
enforces the rule, then it's,
Well, no, that's the next issue, is that it's up to Hunt County. David Berman said Hunt County is the one that has to enforce it. And so, not us, because it's not in our property.
Right.
So a court order requiring them to go by the Texas Administrative Code has to come out of Hunt County, which is, I guess, the next step. And now, in that regard, there's another issue, and I raised this with the mayor, is there's a half acre strip that connects the Bishop Field by road to County Road 2440, which is in our town. Now that strip, the question is okay, that strip, because it is in our town, or at least part of it is, and it connects to the town boundaries, does that give us, by our ordinance, a right to have any control over what's happening in Bishop Field? Of course, that's a legal issue, and that's something that apparently it's going to have to go through the Hunt County Attorney Office, not us, because Mr. Berman's insisting this is not a town issue, this is a Hunt County issue. However, if Mr. Berman was here, I would raise that with him to see, does that constitute that by our zoning, because this half acre, which is a narrow road, that it's there for access to Bishop Field, obviously, but it would take all the trucks, not all, but it'll take a lot of trucks bringing in cement and lumber and everything else up 2434 to 2440, and then 2440 to this road, which goes directly through our town. And then from there into Bishop Field, if and when construction starts. So that's a different angle, and that's one I was going to ask Mr. Berman if he was here, which he isn't. But if, in any case, the other issues have to go to Hunt County's lawyers, according to Mr. Berman. That one issue, maybe Mr. Berman will give us a ruling on, but we don't know yet. But definitely, all that, it's not one truck, it's hundreds of cement construction trucks going over our land in 2434 and 2440, our property rather, our boundaries. So those are outstanding issues that I think need to be resolved, but we're not at a point we can do that right now. Now the other one, to go into your point, Mike, is on the TCEQ. When I talked with Elizabeth Vanderverten, who's the underground tank liaison in Austin for TCEQ, she said she would pursue it, but right now, because of the legislature in session, she and most of their other people are tied up in hearings and meetings on legislation, and her ruling was until summer gets here, they have no time to follow up on the issues you just raised. So there's at least TCEQ. The EPA has told me, no, we need to first go through the TCEQ, even though EPA can get into soil remediation and a lot of other things. Mr. Berman has said it goes to Hunt County, but there's this one issue of that half-acre strip, which is owned. By the way, Bishop Field, the Bishop Ranch, they have 4 different properties. 2 are the main airport. 1 is a narrow strip going north up towards 2434 is an access, and that's outside of our town. And then the other one is the half-acre strip going south into 2440, which is inside our town. So at least those are outstanding legal issues, I think. But there's more than one legal entity that needs to be involved in it, I believe. So that's where we are, nothing really new, and until TCEQ gets through their legislative session, I don't expect a lot of action out of TCEQ.
We still don't have any feedback from the developer slash owner slash whoever. I mean, we're speculating, I guess, on what they're gonna do and when they're gonna do it and all of that.
Yeah, well, we don't know the owner, we know the LLC, and we know the manager of the LLC is Ben Pogue. He's also the manager of the LLC Rogue Enterprises, which owns Bishop Field Ranch LLC, and he's also the manager of other LLCs which tie into that. We don't know that he's the owner or the sole owner, we just know he's listed as manager, so when they pay property taxes or whatever, he apparently writes a check, but we've not been able to find out who the owner is, and that's even going through the State Department, Texas Department of State. They said, well, the owner of it is Rogue Enterprises. Well, who owns Rogue Enterprises?
That's a good name.
They don't know. It's owned by other LLCs and trusts. So we do have a name, Ben Pogue, and we have the other name, Ray Eckenrode, who is apparently involved in the housing part. But Ben Pogue, whose family has construction business, is apparently the one that would be doing the roads, the mud, a lot of the on-site construction work. Anyway, it's still up in the air, as Cal Burnett said, as a stomach turns.
Item 2, discuss the ETJ petition release for Charlie and Ruby McBride. I'm the one that initially asked this to be put on the agenda, and I have since cleared this up with Secretary Teresa. This is the first time when she's done a redaction that I can't tell there was a redaction on the date of birth. It looks blank. And when I saw that, I go, well, that has to be there. That's an omission, that wouldn't be valid. But she says, yeah, I'm going to start writing redacted on there so that we know that the signatures were good, because I said we don't have any way of knowing it's good when you send it out to us. So that was my only issue, and she's cleared it up, so I don't have any issues with it.
So it's complete,
Yeah.
everything is here.
I just need a motion in a second.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to accept it since you've checked and double checked.
Second?
Got a motion by Councilman Anderson and a second by Councilman Jaffe. All those in favor of? That's unanimous. Item 3, approve the February legal bill of $5536.25. And we've already discussed the rest of it, so it's really, we're just down to this legal bill.
Make a motion, we accept the legal bill, 2635.
Got a motion by Anderson and a second by White for the paying the bill for $5,536.25. All those in favor? That's unanimous. We don't have any complete estimates on these two Kaufman, item 4 and item 5.
Do we have any more detail on that, or we just don't have them?
Well, the county's not really particularly pleased with us in taking so long to have 1445 agreements signed. So although we just did it, they really wanted that done earlier, and it wasn't done.
So that's the reason we're being told they're not?
Well, that's part, but part of that 1445 agreement is they want the ETJ releases. Now, prior to learning this, we had already sent a list to them because I forget the lady's name. She's in the developmental part of it. She's they were working on the ETJ release map for themselves, but it's not complete. But what I understand that Commissioner Lane says, once this is all cleared up, everything should be smooth. The county is just kind of holding us hostage because they want some things done, and we're not very, very fast at getting it done. It's been on their books too long. So they really want us to get all that information. And I spoke to Teresa about it today about, and they are working on it right now and getting that list so that the county can remove those ETJ from their...
Well, the reason I ask is because I see Kelly in church on Sunday mornings. We go to the same church, and he mentioned that all that was holding him up is his assistant getting these documents that we approved a couple of months ago signed and returned. And
yeah, we talked about that at the meeting.
Other than that, he said he's ready to go.
Well, I can tell you about that is that I was in here signing checks one day, and Tara asked me if I could take it over to Hunt County to Judge Allen, Jackie Allen.
Kaufman.
Signed documents.
Jackie Allen's Kaufman.
Yeah, so I did. I took him over. He was out that day. His secretary was on the door. His secretary said she'd take him, give him to him. He'd sign them the next morning. Well, then Kelly Lane called Tara and apparently said, where are those documents? They haven't been signed yet. And Tara called me and I said, well, you got to check with Jackie Allen's secretary. She's the one that has them. So, and apparently Kelly Lane was under the impression we hadn't given them to him, which I absolutely did. And so anyway, I said, we got to go to Judge Allen's secretary somewhere there in that office.
I mean, the documents we approved were already signed.
They needed Tara's signature, and that's
Yes.
what I took over there.
Right, but what does the judge need to verify? Was her signature? Or
I don't,
Well, they require a wet signature, so they said everything's signed, but they had to sign it and send it back.
Well, that's fine. I know that just again, Kelly
Yeah.
related to me that he said, hey, I've never got those things back, did you guys approve it? And I looked back through and I'm like, yeah, we
Yeah, we-
voted on this, we approved it.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a odd office. It's down a narrow corridor between courtrooms, and it's got Judge Allen's name on the door, and you can't go in. You have to ring the buzzer, and the secretary comes out, and so there's no, other than nothing, no face-to-face. So anyway, she had the documents, and so somewhere they're inside that locked door that we couldn't go in. So it was up to them to find out. That's what I told Tara, and she, I guess, passed the word on to Judge Allen's office. They needed to get them pushed on, so Kelly Lane has them.
Well, I guess my reason for bringing that up is we sort of ended our relationship with the prior commissioner on not such great terms, and we had high hopes that Kelly was gonna be Santa Claus and fix everything ever, and I don't know, we're just off to a little bit of a rocky start, and I wanna make sure we're not besmirching Kaufman County or Hunt or any of our bordering counties when,
Well, I don't
we
think-
failed to do something, if we did, and I'm not.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't think it's the case.
it came to light in the meeting we had with them that they thought we never brought the stuff down there, and we discussed how that, in fact, Tom had delivered them.
So
And
there's been a meeting with you guys since our last council meeting?
No, when Attorney Berman
Okay.
and Tara and I went down
Way
there,
back
that was one of the things that came up was the 1445 agreement. They said, we'd like to get this done. I says, we approved it and we delivered it. And they go, well, we don't have it. Well, and so this is part of that. It's getting straightened out. I don't think there's any hard feelings anywhere. They just.
I guess what I'm hearing is two different things. You delivered the 1445 agreement. You're saying we didn't deliver the ILA agreement.
I thought I delivered the ILA agreement.
Oh, maybe it's the ILA.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
yes.
little four-pager that was pre-signed by Laura Hughes, the clerk, and by the judge.
And that's what you think.
This
that's
is
you
what
took.
Kelly said he needs to start giving us quotes
Yeah.
and doing work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in an
No
envelope,
way.
a manila envelope, and I didn't check it.
Okay.
I just handed it to her, but I think that was the ILA.
You're right. I'm confused.
No, that's all right.
There's two agreements that.
Yeah.
But it does sound like there's some hard feelings that we didn't get that original, and we did. We drug our feet because we weren't sure because of the imbalance between the arrangements for the three counties,
Counties,
right? Our
yeah.
citizens are gonna be treated different in each of the three counties, and
Yeah.
we were just trying to reconcile that. We never did. We finally launched two of them.
Yeah. Well, I think all three of them have gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eventually, finally. Okay, well, I don't wanna see us burning any bridges with those
Oh, no,
folks,
I don't think
'cause
that's just.
they can save our bacon, and we need them.
So-
Okay, so 5 and 6 are dead?
5 and 6 are dead because we don't have estimates.
4 and 5 are dead.
4 and 5, you're right. 4 and
4
5.
and 5, sorry.
Yeah, they're work orders 5 and 6.
Yep.
Yes.
We're on to item 6, discuss Hunt County Project Sheet H23 for refurbishment of 3 roads.
So I wanted to walk through this with council, just so maybe I'm not on the right page. It's what my beliefs are is either the city gets a road report, or one of us see roads that need to be repaired, and then Tara's painting them, or y'all painting them?
I guess she's painting them.
Tara paints them and then calls the county commissioner, they come out and give us a price on what's painted, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I went and looked at these roads. We're painting stuff that's not in the town. Oh, that's my copy, it's a little messy. And we're repairing stuff that's not in the town. Thank you. Give this one to you, Tara. And here's a few copies if anybody wants them, so you are. So you'll see first page is just a CAD picture with numbers on them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As we flip through there, number 1 is on 2426. You can see that we repaired the entire road. We only have half of that road from the center line to the right. We don't have from the center line to the left. Picture number 2 is on 2400. Again, this is a partial road. We have everything on the left side. And you can see the repairs going northbound are on the right side. Number 3 also on the right side. Number 4 also on the right side. 5 and 6 as well. And if you'll notice, picture number 5, the reason I drove over there today is because that's partly what we're talking about on this H23 agreement was County Road 2400. after talking to Monroe, he said he only does what's painted. Well, again, now we have paint on the ground that's not in our town. So I don't see how we can accept this tonight.
Yeah,
Because
and I don't know, because we've had instances where other people have painted on the roads as well.
the repairs are evident that they've repaired
Yeah, but
things that's not in our
we have to
town.
find out whether or not we painted there or not. That would be the question.
Well, and that's a little bit of a quandary we're gonna have to reconcile going forward as a town, is, I
Yeah.
mean, we can't leave one half of the road disintegrating and the other half, I mean, people will be able to leave and not come home.
Yeah.
But we've also, I guess, come to the legal agreement that we can't spend taxpayers' money if it's not on our property.
That's, yeah, but we'd have,
Well, and do we know that, well, I'm assuming that the asphalt that went on that side of the road was paid for by us and not part of
we
the
don't know
county's
that.
That's what Monroe told me.
contribution.
That's,
Because they redid 2332.
that's right, and that's not part of this,
Completely. I mean, that road
that's not
is-
part of this document,
No.
Mike.
Well, and it's not part of our town either.
Right.
so,
So,
that question was brought to me. They did repair part that was in our town, and then they went on to repair stuff, so.
That's right. Well, they also fixed 1565, obviously we didn't pay for
so,
that.
so would 5 be enough evidence for y'all to say that we're painting stuff that's not in our town?
Well, yeah.
Well-
Remembering that the line is down the center of the road, yes.
Yeah, well, if we painted it.
So we need to find out if we painted it.
If we actually painted it.
And then I guess we need to ask Monroe on picture 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, if those repairs were made due to the paint on the road,
Paint on the road, yeah.
and not due to him just having extra asphalt.
Well, I mean, if it is his road and he's there repairing our side, he would probably repair his side as well. That
Yeah,
just
good for
makes sense, but
Okay, but these are not part of the
It is.
20,000?
It
yeah,
is.
it's part of County Road 2400.
It is. It's
Yeah.
part of County Road 2400.
Yeah.
So we don't have a accurate price if that paint is on county side of the
County
road.
side,
I
yeah.
have a price on mine, do you?
Yeah, they've sent out another one, Mike. It's $20,720.
Wow.
It's a big chunk. So,
Good points, but
Well, the roads, I mean, 2400 isn't undrivable, it's unpleasant, but it's not undrivable. So if we delay this a month, it's not gonna.
well,
I mean, we can't vote on this not knowing
Yeah.
what we're paying for.
yeah. Well, I mean, I drive over 2 of the holes on 2326, and I understand that because you're starting to get down to the base, you know. But maybe we need a different system than paint, because I mean, if it's orange paint, anybody can go orange paint, and I'd like it fixed in front of my
Run
road.
it right up in your driveway.
Well, I mean, when they did 2326, there's a section that I thought, I wish they would have done that, but I'm not gonna go paint it because that's just wrong, but, you know, if somebody's trying, not that they're doing anything wrong, they're trying to be helpful, and, because we used to have citizens that would just paint the holes so we knew where the holes were.
Yeah.
So if they're continuing that thought, they're not trying to cheat anything, they're just being helpful.
So County Road 2400 was recently repaired. We
Yeah.
paid for that. A citizen brought up the area that's pictured in number 5. And with the mayor and with David Monroe. And David Monroe told the mayor, go back out there and paint it and I'll repair it. So I can only assume that this section was painted by Tara.
Yeah.
Just like all the other sections, it's been repaired on the opposite side of the road.
Well, she said that she's the one that's been marking roads. So
Yeah.
she's at least one of the people.
So I don't know how we need to move forward. I've always kind of questioned that system. I like the face-to-face approach. Me personally, I would get in the truck with the commissioner and I would ride the roads and we would discuss it and we would agree on what we're doing. Because to your point, we don't know if people are painting it to dodge it. Or,
Yeah, or just to let us know that it needs to be fixed.
So, you know, maybe moving forward and new council and maybe we'll all retain our seats, we'll figure out what that needs to look like, and work with both of them and say, what do y'all want to do to make this healthy and repeatable?
Yeah.
Well, and I would encourage us to come up with a way to, again, deal with the fact that some of our road is in the town and some of it isn't, and how we.
So we don't have a lot of that, Mike. I mean,
Well, we have 2434 is that they recently did the part in the town, but they did part that was past the town too. Probably because they had their equipment and supplies out there and they did it all at the same time. I don't know that we paid for it, because you know, what I saw that was marked was inside the town, but that didn't stop them from doing things that needed done outside the town.
Well, I'm thinking once they mobilize equipment, they're trying to leverage the fact that it's already here.
There, yeah,
Bring
sure.
the
And they're
haul
hauling
trucks.
material, and that's fine, as long as we know that we're not paying for that stuff.
Yeah, when they haul all the equipment in, well, they wanna get
You're
it all
saying
in.
no because you know
They'll
otherwise?
haul it all
I'm
out.
saying no because Monroe said no.
Oh.
Because they're buying the amount of tonnage that they need for that project to keep their books looking
Well,
right.
Kelly Lane told us that when he was gonna do the estimates, that he was gonna go out and take pictures so that we would get back. So maybe that's what we need, is not just painting the stuff, but a photo so that we know, yes, we painted it, yes, this is in town, and,
I mean, it wouldn't be hard, Terry, to do, just have a blank map, right, and just mark stuff on the map as well, so you've got.
that's a good idea.
Except, I
checks
like
and
Jonathan's
balances.
point, you know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. You know, the picture clarifies it,
Yeah.
and I would prefer that.
Yeah.
I just got a message that says that the online road report listed says, have you painted around the potholes? So I might just look at that.
Oh, that's
So
what
I
I'm,
guess when you fill it out, I don't know.
well, that's what I'm saying. We've asked citizens to do this, and now they don't necessarily know what's in the road, and so it's just, that,
Everything
you know,
you're saying is perfectly fine, but when Monroe says to keep our books straight, we bring out what we've bid to put out on the road.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're not gonna send the truck around and do it
Yeah,
again.
but because those guys don't know what, you know, they're just,
Monroe goes out there and marks him or his number one guy.
Yeah.
They mark straight lines, he says, when they get there.
Yeah, I've seen
That's a
them.
starting point
In
and a
the end.
stopping point.
yeah.
And that's for them, so that would be any additional paint. But to his point, they buy what they bid and they bring it out there and put it on the road.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I think we can do better, but we can't vote on this, I don't think.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
So we postpone till next meeting.
Yeah.
There is really interest out there, we could vote on it contingent on changing knobs for those roads in Little Island. We just say it's, if it's trouble to, you know, health and welfare in general, we can approve up to a certain amount of limit. And Terry, you could drive with the commissioner if you say you want to do that and modify this.
I don't think they're impassable or unsafe, in my opinion.
I don't think a month would make a difference, would it?
I don't think so.
No, I did have a resident call me the other day asking about her road, and don't get me to lie, because I can't remember what it was. And she was like, well, I have orange paint, I can go out there and paint it. So that is obviously a valid point that you're bringing up.
Yeah, we need to broadcast, stop painting things anymore.
Or just use a different color every time you go out there, and then the citizens
Well-
aren't gonna know which one you're using.
Well, I like Jonathan's point, take a picture.
Picture of what we're gonna get a bid on, for
Then
sure.
we have a document
Yeah,
in our files.
yeah. But I don't.
Well, and I guess there's another point too. If this was November, December, I would say a month could be critical. But in April, we've got another 4 months of good weather, 5 months, which they like to have warm weather. So I don't think it's critical to wait a month.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, next.
Next item. Discuss allotting the volunteer road teams an additional $2,500 to spend on materials costs for roads as needed for pothole or shoulder repairs. And there's a,
For where, do we have a?
no.
We've given them a carte blanche before because it kind of, I mean, you participate, Mike, if something pops up and needs to be addressed.
Well, no, I do, and I'm not opposed to it, I just want, I'm assuming this is on the Kaufman side. Yes. Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. Because we wouldn't be doing it on Hunt County because they're helping us, so.
Right.
Is this just a continuation of the stuff we've been doing on 249 and different roads?
Yes.
Motion.
Well, I'm okay with it.
Motion to approve the $2,500 for the road crew to patch Kaufman County roads.
A second?
I got a motion by Councilman Jaffe and a second by Councilman Anderson. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Okay, Councilman Fowler, you're up.
Thank you. So y'all have seen this before, and this is just a new document, and I have had conversations with Berman about it. And I'm sitting here to answer questions, and if we don't do nothing, we don't do nothing, but we didn't get a chance to discuss it fully because Mr. Berman represented it as accepting a survey, and that is not what the intent of this document is. If y'all read it that way, please show me where you're reading it that way, but this is a call for us to pass an ordinance requiring a survey of our town. I did ask Mr. Berman to help me rewrite it to where he thought it wasn't calling or accepting a survey, but he has refused to do so. Or he's refused by not answering me. So y'all have had time to read it, and I don't know, I don't know any other way to write it. He didn't write this, I wrote this. This is pulling from like ordinances that we've already passed. But I know we've belated the point of 41.002, but if you want to read A, it says the governing body shall adopt an ordinance requiring a survey. It doesn't say when you have to do the survey, and I did make this point with Mr. Berman too. Y'all know how I feel about an on-the-ground survey. Oh, and by the way, just so everybody's clear, I have an email from Mr. Berman recent, says that he agrees that we need an on-the-ground survey. So, just so everybody's clear. But the point that I want to make with an on-the-ground survey is, if we pass this ordinance, I'm not trying to beat the system, but it doesn't have a timeline. And we know that those are expensive, but I also know how the municipalities operate. We can develop a capital improvements project in our budget, and we can fund that over 2, 3, 4 years. It doesn't, we need to work towards it.
Yeah.
So by accepting this, I don't believe that it locks us down, and Mr. Berman didn't argue my point on that. I don't believe it locks us down to a moratorium date. I think it allows us the ability to seek a survey in accordance to 41.002.
What also establishes it as a priority of the town, right, that we want a survey.
Mm-hmm.
And this would authorize us, and it also defines what it is. It's not just a map. It's
And I'll be honest, I'm not trying to hold anything. Mr. Berman doesn't agree that the occupation code clearly articulates what a survey is, and we've just agreed to disagree. But when it says professional survey and it has all those points underneath it, this is the occupation code that regulates surveyors. There's not another code that tells, you're an engineer, Tom, you understand how occupation codes regulate what you do. So my point of, no, but you're an engineer, so you have occupational codes that dictate what engineers are responsible to do. And yeah, I understand we're talking about two different things as surveyors, but I included that because I felt that it helps define survey who can do a survey. If y'all say strike that, or y'all want to strike the whole document, it's fine, but I don't feel like we got to clearly discuss this ordinance as it sits.
Well, my feeling on it, go ahead.
Probably where I've got the issue with the ordinance is in that definition of survey, because I know that you and Mr. Berman have a different opinion of that, how you want to interpret the law, but from what I've seen, half the law is precedence, and there is not much precedence for on-the-ground surveys as defined by this document, having a municipality like us run them, so I'm just not in favor of locking us into that interpretation of the law. The rest of this ordinance seems fine, pretty much just emphasizing what we're required to do by state law, but that particular part, I don't want to lock us into an interpretation of the law.
Okay, so while you have the floor, just let me ask you one question, Simeon, and the reason I proposed this to everyone, and I made the argument with Mr. Berman, is our town being gerrymandered, that's Berman's terms, 95% of the parcels out here are split, in town and out of town. In the future, well, one problem we currently have, but we do, but we don't. We don't have the ability to dictate a defined boundary line for ordinance applicability. Problem number two that everybody here has spoken against is property taxes when they come. If and when they come, let me clarify that, because nobody wants them. But let's say 5-10 years down the road, property taxes enacted, there's going to be appraisals that are set, and I think, and Berman didn't disagree with me, I think we're going to have to defend ourselves against 95% of the people out there, because they're going to say, prove where your boundary is, and an aerial map can't do that. And then that was when Mr. Berman said, I agree, we need an on-the-ground survey. I have that in the email. I can send it to you, I believe. If not, he can send it to you.
I'd be interested in looking at that again. It's just the precedence of it. Most towns, I believe it's 90+% have property tax of some sort, and many of them do not have an on-the-ground survey. They have a general map the way we do, so they're making it work and not running into troubles in a practical world.
Yeah,
I understand that
agree.
there's people, concerns, but I don't think it, just comes out into the real world.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think just to further that conversation a little more, most towns are figured on some kind of geometrical shape, have a few fingers, and I guess my argument to that would be if there is a discrepancy, they can pay for a survey or they can have surveyors weigh in on that certain discrepancy. I don't think anybody looks like us with the vastness of the discrepancy. They're going to have them around their perimeter. And a lot of times, as we know, they follow property lines until they annex, but typically they're going to follow another one. They don't typically dissect properties. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I've seen other towns the way we are, but to address your point overall that this adds an extra layer of complexity to future property taxes, I like that. I hope it is complicated. I hope they run
I don't think you heard that right.
Well, I guess,
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna stop a property tax, it's just gonna land us in court.
well, I guess the idea, we were hoping to do it this week, this meeting, but it'd be probably be next month, is to have the combination of the map with all of the verbiage from the town engineers and Mr. Berman here to go over this point. So, you know, we really need, if we're gonna, to my mind, we just do both of them at once and get the map from the engineers, hopefully by the next meeting. And by the way, they apparently have gotten some kind of agreement out of the survey board that, I mean, I'm familiar with the engineers board, but there's a survey board that have given them comments. And according to Chase Crawford, the only thing they're waiting on is final approval from the board so that they can issue the map, and they didn't get it by this meeting. So they're hoping to have it by next meeting, and if they do, definitely, I think Mr. Berman needs to be here, and we go over this and rehash out both issues, the
Okay.
ordinance and the map.
So Terry, if they came back with something that didn't have all the language saying they're not, this isn't real and it isn't backed and professional and all that, I mean, if they came back with something that had an engineer's seal and number and all of that, would that satisfy what you've got here?
I think
If they could get somebody to say it was a survey and.
I think we're talking about two different things, and I think that was the confusion on this. This is not accepting a survey. This is not accepting what they're going to provide us. This is an ordinance in accordance to 41.02, passing an ordinance requiring a survey of our boundaries. That's all this is. This is not accepting what they're going to
Yeah, I
present
guess
to
I'm just
us.
trying to understand Tom's point. Is it necessarily the case that we need to delay this, or could we potentially vote on this and then follow on with whatever happens next month or whenever they come back and see if.
Well,
Yeah, I know they're so similar, they look a lot alike, but, I mean, they're not. This is not accepting a survey. This is an ordinance to say we want a survey.
Right.
They will provide us with what they're okay with calling a survey. And then we can talk about the point if we want an on-the-ground survey and set up an improvement plan or not.
Well, I guess my feeling is this is a very legal issue, and none of us are lawyers. Mr. Berman is a municipal lawyer, but we aren't. So my feeling is this is something he needs to weigh in on, as well as the map. I mean, we've got both issues, and hopefully we can do it all next month, get both of them
It
settled.
sounds like he's balking, right? He's not.
Well, he didn't reply to my request to change it.
Well, I think the only reason he maybe balked is because we don't have a map. He wanted to get it all done.
Well, but to Terry's point, this is simply saying we intend and we desire to have a survey. I think it is, I'm understanding it's a separate issue, so.
Well, yeah, I agree, it's a separate issue than the map, but just, my feeling is we need Mr. Berman here to go, if we're gonna discuss it, since he is our legal representative, discuss both of them. And he's a municipal law expert as well.
I'll make it easy. I'll motion to table it to the next meeting. That way it has to be on the agenda.
That's fair enough for me.
I have a motion. I have a motion by Councilman Fowler, a second by Councilman Jaffe to table this to the next meeting. All those in favor? That's unanimous.
Try to pass it for you, Terry. Here you go.
I mean, I yield to everyone. That's exactly what I want. I want healthy conversations. So
No, I agree.
if Tom really wants him to weigh in on it, I'm not for just passing it.
But
So
we
thank
need
you, Tom.
The win can't be never, it needs to be some
Yes.
big
Well, I
circle.
guess there's that, saying that I've always heard is, only a fool hires himself as his lawyer. We hired Mr. Berman, so we need to have him present of anything that's legal. I mean, because it is a very, very legal issue.
Fair enough.
On both of them, both the map and the ordinance.
All right, the time is 7:50.
you.